My wife kicked me out after inheriting millions. Her smile didn't last long. The day my wife threw my suitcase onto the front lawn, the sky was painfully bright, the kind of cruel daylight that exposes everything you're trying to hide. Neighbors' curtains twitched. Birds kept singing like nothing was breaking. And I stood there in yesterday's shirt, watching 10 years of my life packed into 2 cheap bags while the woman I loved looked at me like I was already a stranger. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that touch the heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to One Heart Stories. Your support keeps these real, emotional journeys alive. Her smile that morning wasn't warm or nervous or even sad. It was sharp. Victorious. The kind of smile people wear when they think they've finally escaped something heavy. I realized then that, to her, I had become that weight. My name is Rowan Hale, and for most of my marriage, I believed love meant sacrifice. I worked double shifts at the auto repair shop while my wife, Marissa, chased small business dreams that never quite worked. I paid the rent, the bills, the groceries, and even the loans she swore would pay off soon. I never complained. I told myself that building a life together meant carrying each other when one of us stumbled. Then her aunt died and left her everything. The call came on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. By Friday, Marissa was a millionaire. At first, I was happy for her. I remember hugging her in the kitchen while sunlight poured through the curtains, promising that things would finally get easier. No more late nights for me. No more stress. Maybe a small house by the lake like we used to dream about. But money didn't make things easier. It changed the air between us. Within days, she started talking differently. She spoke about upgrading her life, about new circles, about how she had wasted years struggling. I noticed how she stopped asking about my day. How she flinched when I came home greasy from work. How she began spending afternoons with people who wore expensive watches and laughed too loudly. I told myself it was temporary. People need time to adjust. I was wrong. That morning, she told me I didn't fit into the future she wanted. She said I reminded her of the poor version of herself. She said she deserved more now. She handed me a small envelope with a little cash inside, like charity, and asked me to leave by noon. The worst part wasn't the words. It was how calm she looked. So I left. I slept in my old pickup truck the first night, parked near the river where we once had picnics. The sun rose warm and golden, people jogging past like the world hadn't cracked open. I washed my face in a gas station bathroom and went back to work because bills don't stop just because your heart does. Those weeks were heavy. I showered at the gym. Ate cheap sandwiches, pretended everything was fine when co-workers asked why I looked so tired. At night, I replayed every memory, wondering where I had gone wrong. Wondering if love had an expiration date I hadn't noticed. But something strange happened in that emptiness. Without the constant pressure to please someone else, I started noticing myself again. I began fixing extra cars for customers who couldn't afford it. An elderly man cried when I refused payment for repairing his brakes. A single mother hugged me after I stayed late to get her van running. Word spread. People started asking for me by name. One regular customer, an older woman named Eliza, owned a small property management company. She watched me work for months before offering me a chance to manage maintenance full-time. The pay was steady, better hours, real respect. For the first time in years, someone saw my worth without me having to beg for it. I rented a tiny studio apartment with sunlight that spilled across the floor every morning. I bought second-hand furniture and cooked simple meals. It wasn't glamorous, but it was peaceful. I laughed more. Slept deeper. I felt lighter. Then, 6 months later, I saw Marissa again. It was midday outside the courthouse. She didn't look like the glowing millionaire from before. Her hair was messy, eyes tired, designer bag hanging loose from her shoulder like it weighed too much. I learned through whispers and town gossip what had happened. Fast friends had convinced her to invest in flashy ventures. A luxury condo. Risky businesses. Parties. Lawyers. Lawsuits. By the time she realized most of them only loved her money, it was already gone. She had burned through millions chasing a life that looked rich but felt hollow. When our eyes met, that sharp smile was gone. In its place was something fragile. Regret, maybe. I expected anger. Or satisfaction. Instead, I felt calm. Because I wasn't that broken man on the lawn anymore. I had rebuilt myself from the ground up, not with money, but with dignity. I had people who respected me, a job that mattered, mornings filled with sunlight instead of anxiety. Losing her had forced me to find myself. Sometimes the worst day of your life quietly becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, and comment to let others find it too. Your support means more than you know. And before we end, write in the comments, kindness always comes back. That afternoon, I walked past Marissa without bitterness, without pride, just acceptance. The sky was bright again, just like the day she kicked me out. But this time, the light didn't feel cruel. It felt like a new beginning.